Hi, welcome to CNY Woman Knits and Crochets. I'm Mindy, otherwise known as Knitter CNY on Ravelry and Instagram. If you are finding the podcast for the first time, welcome in. If you are a returning viewer or a subscriber, welcome back. If you like what you see, subscribe below, hit the notification bell, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment. I usually respond to comments. I've got 3 finished objects to show you today, one of which you've seen before, but I fixed it. So I wanted you to see it again and remind you what yarn I used, show you something I finished and something else I finished. And then I'm going to show you 2 projects that I'm working on. So today will be my last podcast of 2024. I will try and record something either New Year's Day or on the weekend. Depends on what projects I work on. If I don't have anything to show you, I won't record anything. So the first thing that I finished and fixed was this sweater. I'll put it on so I can show it to you. It's just a simple cardigan. It is the Airy Stripes cardigan from Yarnspirations. It originally calls for Yarnspirations Red Heart Bitty Stripes, and I used this yarn instead. I used Red Heart Roll with it Melange. This color is called Autograph. You can see all the purples in there and the blues. I have 2 skeins of this left. I only used 3 skeins for this size. And if you remember, I had sewed the left hand sleeve on backwards, and so there was a seam that was running along the outside that looked not right. As you can see, I flipped that seam in. I flipped the sleeve inside out, or outside out, inside out. Yeah, inside out. And I pull out the slip stitch that I had slip stitched the sleeve with, and slip stitch, when you pull it out, is like pulling the string on a potato bag. If you've ever done that, that's slip stitch. And I redid it correctly. So now I have a wearable cardigan, and it looks really good. So that's done. So now I have a cardigan I can actually wear out in public. It came out so the colors are pretty much even. I don't know how that happened because I split for past the armholes, and somehow it came out so it looks pretty. The colors look pretty even. So that's good. Just saw a squirrel or something in the backyard. So that cardigan is done. Bend forward for a minute. I've got to pick up a skein of yarn that fell on the floor. The next sweater I made was less than 5 days to completion. I used 7 skeins of this yarn, which is Hue and Me from Lion Brand and 2 of Wands. The color of this is called Terra. I had 8 skeins, but one of the skeins was considerably darker in the dye lot than the other 7 skeins, so I held that back, hoping I would get done with 7 skeins, and I did. The only thing that's left to do on this cardigan is to sew on buttons, which I have. I ordered the buttons from Amazon because I went to Joann's and tried to look at buttons there, and didn't find any buttons that I wanted. And I looked, there was someplace else I looked too for buttons, and I wasn't really happy. I used a pattern that is free on Lion Brand. It's called the Top Down Cardigan Knit. It's pattern 1194. It does these raglan increases with yarn overs. So it's super simple. The sleeves are super simple. I did the sleeves before I finished the body. That's the only tip I would give you, because I wanted to make sure that I had enough yarn and however long. And the body is actually longer than what they ask for. They ask for like 14.5 inches for the size that I made, and I made it, I think, 17 inches. Because I like my cardigans to ride a little longer than the typical just sitting at the natural waist. So it's done from the top down, as I said, and then you pick up for the ribbing around. You do the buttonholes while you are working on the cardigan. Let me feel. Where are the buttonholes? I know there's buttonholes here. There's a buttonhole right there. There's 8 buttonholes in all. You can kind of see where they are. So they're spaced out. So I have plastic buttons that look like leather buttons, and they were like $8 for 12 of them on Amazon. So it was a good deal for me to use that. So I like this color because it's a neutral color. It's going to go with everything in my wardrobe. I have black pants for work. This is a warm sweater. Hue and Me is a number 5 weight. It's 80% acrylic, 20% wool. It's kind of like Woolies. This pattern originally called for Woolies Chunky, which was the same fiber content, but Hue and Me is a substitute. And then when you hit the substitution yarn on Lion Brand's website, it tells you how many skeins to buy for what size you're making. Reason I bought this yarn was it was on sale for $3.99 at Joann's. I don't know if the price is still $3.99 or not, but that's the lowest price I've seen it. Normally it goes for $8.99 a skein. So $3.99 a skein, plus I had a 20% off coupon, so that was a good price. It was a really good price. So I bought 8 skeins for $27, including in tax. So that was a good price. The other thing that I made is a corner to corner blanket, and you can guess this is puzzle yarn from Premier Yarns. You can buy it at Walmart for $6 in store. This color is called Trivia. It has pinks and blues and some like darker blue gray kind of colors in it, and some light, very super light teal. So that'll be a baby blanket for Project Linus, and they can collect those in about 2 months after my coordinator for this area is done with some surgery. Reaching down for another skein of yarn for a project I'm working on. The yarn I'm using, I got on sale for $4.99 a skein at Ollie's. It is Bernat Blanket in this color Plum Fields. Sort of burgundy, green, brown, and cream in there. And I have 4 skeins of that. So I am making a Suzette stitch blanket with a size O crochet hook. I think, I'm not really sure how many millimeters that is, but it's a size O. Might be a 12 millimeter hook now that I think of it. So really easy pattern. I chained 60 and then did the Suzette stitch across. It's super easy. It comes out really nice. And then the last thing that I'm working on is out of this yarn, which is Bernat Forever Fleece Finer. It is a number 5 weight. It is discontinued. You can still buy Forever Fleece, that's a 6 weight, and you can buy Forever Fleece Finest, which is a 4 weight, but the number 5 weight is discontinued. This is 9.9 ounces, 280 grams, 385 yards, 352 meters. It is 100% polyester. It feels exactly like it sounds. It feels like fleece. It originally retailed for $12 a skein. I got this in a mystery box that was from Joann's and Yarnspirations, and I paid $20 for this, and I got 2 other skeins of cotton yarn, the cotton stripes or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's across the room, but I'm not going to go get it. So this color is called My Sunshine. It's a very bright yellow. It's kind of looking pale yellow here, but it's bright yellow. And I only had 2 skeins of this, so I wanted to be the most efficient yarn I could. I'm doing a diagonal baby blanket. You start off with a few stitches, and then you do like the dishcloth pattern. You do knit 1, and then you yarn over, and then you do knit across the row. And then on the decrease row, what you'll do is knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit across the row. So you either increase or decrease by 1 stitch every row. Very simple pattern. I haven't gotten all through the first skein yet, but I started my decreases because I got to 36 inches, and that's what I need for a baby blanket for Project Linus. So I have this much left. So I'll definitely have enough left to finish the blanket, which is what I was counting on, because I didn't want to try and crochet it because I knew I wouldn't have enough yarn. And to get more of this yarn, they only had the pink color left at Joann's, and it was $19.19 for 2 skeins of it. And I didn't want to spend $40 on a baby blanket. It seemed silly. So, that is all I have for you. I'm working on a regular blanket and the baby blanket. Those are my projects for right now. Hopefully next week I go back to work. New job. Very excited about that. I'm also up for another job, but they're going to let me know if I get that job. I'm not counting on that. And that would be a later start date because of security checks and things like that I would need to go through before I can start working at the place where I would start working. I'm not going to talk about the new jobs, and I'm not going to talk about where I'm working, just for security and privacy reasons. I'm single. You don't need to know where I work. You don't care either. All you care about is the crochet and the knitting and the yarn. So next projects, new goals for 2025. Use up the yarn I have. I've got some Bernat blanket yarn coming. A couple of skeins from Amazon because I had Amazon gift cards for Christmas. I've got Premier Puzzle yarn. I've got other worsted weight yarn I can use for baby blankets and regular blankets. I've got a lot of Bernat baby blanket and regular blanket yarn to use for the larger blankets. I usually use 4 skeins of those to make the grade school blankets. So I've got a lot of yarn. So we're going to use the hashtag shop your yarn stash 2025. That's a long hashtag. So I may shorten it. Like SYYS 2025. We'll shorten it to that because that'll be easier. I'll post that to Instagram on the 1st and talk about that in probably the first 2025 podcast of how that's going to work. And I'm not going to give prizes or anything. Your prize is you're using up your stash. Whether or not you buy yarn is up to you. I am not saying to anybody they shouldn't buy yarn. That's just me. I bought a lot of yarn this past year. I don't need any more yarn right at the moment. I have totes of yarn in my dining room where I record. I have totes of yarn in my closet in my bedroom because I keep my clothes out in the linen closet. The 2 bookcases here, and then there's another bookcase over there across the room that you can't see, are full of yarn. And there's a little bit of yarn in one bookcase that's behind the totes. So I don't need to buy more yarn. Whether or not you buy yarn is up to you. But we can all shop our stash because usually knitters and crocheters have a stash. And sometimes you don't know what you have. And if you don't know what you have, you can't use it. So I'm going to say shop your stash. Maybe you say for the next month, I'm not going to buy yarn. Give yourself a reasonable expectation of I don't need to buy yarn. Maybe you use that money for something else. I've got bills that I've got coming in that I've got to pay. And I've got this yarn and I can use it. So that's my plan. So I hope you guys have a great 2025. Have a great New Year's Eve. I'm spending it over at a friend's house. We're just a married couple that I know that are both friends of mine. We're just going to hang out and probably watch a movie or something like that and just relax and have some food and drink and just chill out. It's my kind of party. Chilling out. So have a great 2024, end of 2024, and a great 2025. I'll see you in the new year, and go craft something because it's good for your mental health.